Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment of our program brought to you by Calhoun's. And folks, it's time for their holiday packs now through Christmas. Give them 24 hours notice and Calhoun's going to provide you the turkey, the dressing, the peas, the potatoes, the gravy, the bread. They'll even throw in dessert. You get a cheesecake with that. Calhoun's, the taste of Tennessee. Make it the taste of the holidays. If you got to get together, goodness sakes, don't do the work. Let Calhoun's do the work. You just do the eating. Calhoun's. At Calhoun's if you want to follow them on social media and Twitter. All right, I want to welcome in the next panelist for the day, and we're introducing guys one after another. Here we got Chuck Cavaleras. Chuck, thanks for being here. No cowboy hat today, I see.
No cowboy hat.
Okay, someone asked me to do a Pruitt-Jones comparison, and I've done a little bit more than that. Let's go to the first full screen if we could please. I threw in Derek Dooley for good measure, and you see the records here. Chuck and Jimmy, I want you paying attention to these numbers. Pruitt 12-12. He has a chance to be 13-12 if he wins his bowl game, or 12-13, which would be the same mark as Jones. You see the SEC record, though. That's where he's got the leg up on those guys. 7 wins already. Jones had 5 through 2 years. Dooley had 4. Improvement from first year to second year. Dooley went backwards by a win. Jones was 2 wins better. Pruitt 2 wins better, could be 3 wins better. Wins versus ranked foes. Pruitt had 2 last year. Jones had 1 his first year as well. Dooley, none. Wins versus Alabama, Georgia, Florida, none. Wins versus rest of the SEC. I put an asterisk by Dooley because he was coaching pre-SEC East split, so he didn't have as many games against the East, but you see Pruitt's a little up there. All right, let's flip this over. Second-year comparison to all the coaches who were hired into Power 5 jobs when Pruitt was hired. You see Dan Mullen, 20-5. And Florida was 13-11 the 2 years before he took over. He's 20-5. Cristobal at Oregon, 19-6. Oregon was 11-14. Jimbo Fisher, 16-9. Joe Moorhead, 14-11, barely saved his job this year. Herm Edwards, 14-11. I did not see him having any success. Then Jeremy Pruitt at 12-12. Again, could be 13-12 once the year's over. Scott Frost, who everybody wanted, not as good. Willie Taggart. And Chad Morris fired immediately. Chip Kelly, the one who was we got to get Chip Kelly. Okay, he's at the bottom of the list. Chuck and Jimmy, looking at those 2 lists, what's your thoughts on Pruitt compared to these other guys after 2 years? They're going to look at each other.
Well, I mean, for not having any head coaching experience is, I believe, the way I would have to quantify that. And you look at how he has done in the SEC, and being familiar with the SEC, I think you got to look at it and be impressed with what he's done overall. I really do.
I think he's done a good job, and I think one of the things he's done is he's the player development. I think that's pretty obvious in what you have seen so far. Dan Mullen was Tennessee's first choice. He ends up going to Florida, and Mullen's done the best job of any of them. Cristobal at Oregon's done a nice job as well. But I think Pruitt has done a good job with this group. He's given you hope going forward. If you look at the recruiting class he had, 19 of the freshmen, I'm told there's not a bust in the group. So he's given you reason to believe he can have success down the road. But I think the way they finished, I think he did a really nice job.
Okay, very good. Bob and Will, quick question for you guys. SEC Coach of the Year honors. Rank them 1, 2, 3.
Edwards are on 1. I would probably go Mullen 2, and I'd go Pruitt 3. Okay. Although, and there I go with my great memory, Auburn. Malzahn upped his stock a little bit too, but I think Pruitt's on the edge of the conversation, but nowhere near winning.
Orgeron, Mullen, Pruitt.
Yeah, I'd have to go with Orgeron. I mean, he's obviously going to be the guy that's going to get it. I think Mullen's in that category. I think you and I talked before the show a little bit. Kentucky Stoops. He has to go with what he's been down with, left with, and been able to do what he's been able to do.
With a receiver at quarterback to 7-5.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I think when you have that, you have to consider him in there. So I don't necessarily think Pruitt's in the top 3 for this year's running.
If it was the Heisman Award and you invite the 5 finalists, Pruitt would be invited to the 5 finalists show. Okay. He wouldn't win, but at least he would be there.
All right. Big picture for the season. I'll give everybody 30 seconds. What was the key? I'll start with Jimmy and we'll just work it down. What was the key to the turnaround? What was the one key?
If you go based on what Pruitt said, it was having a meeting after the Florida game and making sure you had everybody convinced if you did these things, you were going to get to bowl games. So I think probably that meeting, and also give the defensive line credit. I didn't think this defensive line would make the turnaround and step up like it did with a bunch of guys that were pretty much a journeyman. But I think those would be the 2 keys.
Which one are you going with, though? One key each.
I'm sorry. I'm going to go with the post-Florida meeting where he brought everybody together.
Okay. Chuck.
I think I'm going to go with the South Carolina game and the fact that you had not beaten Will Muschamp. And that's somebody you're trying to climb over in the SEC to be relevant again. And to not only win, but to win, what was it, 41-21? So, I mean, to me, that was really what I would look back and say. That. And also, people will talk about how you went to Alabama and stood toe-to-toe with them, even though two got hurt. I know.
One.
I know. All right.
Will.
Defensive line. I mean, the defensive front seven from where it started at the beginning of the year couldn't line up, couldn't get in the right positions, got pushed around by Georgia State. To see how far that group has come, that's been an unbelievable change. If you talk about anywhere to compare how the rest of the team changed from those first two games to the end of the year, just look at the defensive line. Where it started the first two games to where it ended this year, that's been the night and day difference.
Quick, Bob.
I've got 3. I'm going to go with the player development because you're seeing guys contribute that people had forgot they were even on the roster. And that's something you hadn't seen a lot. So I'm going to go with just player development all the way from seniors, Nigel Warrior, who got better, to guys who, he's on the team, didn't know that.
I'll go D-line. You don't get credit. We'll have it as number 1. I'll go player defensive line as well.
I'll never get credit.
Simply because I mean, going into the season, that was your biggest hole. In the month of September, it looked like your biggest hole.
Mm-hmm.
And then about the Mississippi State game, it's like, where did this come from? You're starting to stuff the run, and I thought that was the key to everything. So, very good, guys. Thank you very much. When we come back, Pruitt got some negative coverage on ESPN this week. How big of a deal is that story? We've still got bowl talk, basketball talk, what was the best win of 2019, 2020 projections to come. Come on back on the Sports Source.